So now the whole world is talking about the growing tensions between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Of all the people, the Israeli army radio has gone ahead to report how everything is not well between the US president and war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu. I will come to this in a bit, but let's look at the extraordinary headline carried by Jerusalem Post claiming that Trump will announce the recognition of Palestine during his trip to the Middle East. The headline by Jerusalem Post read, and I quote, Gulf diplomatic source claims Trump will announce US recognition of Palestinian state. End quote. The report by Jerusalem Post added, and I quote, a Gulf diplomatic source who declined to be named or disclose his position told the media line President Donald Trump will issue a declaration regarding the state of Palestine and American recognition of it, and that there will be the establishment of a Palestinian state without the presence of Hamas. The source also added if an announcement of American recognition of the state of Palestine is made, it will be the most important declaration that will change the balance of power in the Middle East, and more countries will join the Abraham Accords. End quote. Hours later, Trump's appointee as the US ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, reacted angrily as he wrote on Twitter, and I quote, Hmm, Jerusalem Post needs better sources than this unidentified source. My 4-year-old grandson Teddy is more reliable. And take it from Teddy, this report is nonsense. Israel doesn't have a better friend than POTUS. End quote. The basis of Jerusalem Post's reporting on Trump's possible recognition of Palestinian state stems from the US president's statement made during his joint press conference with the newly elected Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Addressing the press conference, Trump has said that he was going to announce something big during his trip to the Middle East. Listen to what Trump had to say first.
We're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar, and that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here.
Whether or not this is what Trump meant when he said he was going to announce something massive, we will know soon. But one thing is clear, all is not well between him and the bloodthirsty terrorist Netanyahu. As I reported earlier, Trump had bypassed Netanyahu to announce a ceasefire deal with the Houthis. And when he was told about Houthis' claims that the deal doesn't include Israeli targets, Trump had simply ignored that.
Mr. President, you said the Houthis are backing down. We're seeing conflicting reports that they plan on continuing to attack Israel in support of Gaza. Does that change the equation?
No, I don't know about that, frankly, but I know one thing, they want nothing to do with us, and they've let that be known through all of their surrogates, and very strongly.
He also didn't issue any condemnation for the Houthis' attack of the Ben Gurion airport using a supersonic missile. Huckabee then told reporters, and this is important, that Israel wouldn't be involved in the distribution of aid in Gaza, contrary to what the Israeli cabinet had originally announced.
The Israelis are going to be involved in providing necessary military security because it is a war zone. But they will not be involved in the distribution of the food or even in the bringing of the food into Gaza. We call upon the United Nations, we call upon every NGO, we call upon every government, especially those who have been saying, why don't you do something? Why isn't something being done? Well, something is being done. So we invite people who have been concerned about it to join in this process. There are several partners who have already agreed to be a part of the effort. We're not prepared to name them as of yet because some of the details of their participation are being worked out. Obviously, yes, there is a humanitarian crisis. That's why we need a humanitarian aid program going in.
But the most significant bit came from the Israeli army radio. which reported that Trump had cut ties with war criminal Netanyahu since he believed that the terrorist wanted by the International Criminal Court was manipulating him. Israeli Army radio reporter Yanir Kozin wrote on Twitter that Trump made the decision after close associates told Israeli Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer that the president believes that Netanyahu is manipulating him. Then the TRT World reported, quoting an Israeli official, that Dermer's tone during recent discussions with senior Republican figures about what Trump should do was seen as arrogant and unhelpful. One official said, and I quote, "There is nothing Trump hates more than being portrayed as a fool or someone being played. That's why he decided to cut contact with Netanyahu." End quote. Faced with growing negative reporting, the reporter from the Israeli Army radio has now tweeted, downplaying the impact of his earlier reporting. However, he has still maintained that all was not well between Trump and Netanyahu. This is what he wrote, and I quote, "What is the reason for the change in tone and approach towards Israel by the American administration in the past week?" Israeli political sources who spoke with Trump administration officials explained they want results. If we don't come to them with plans and timetables, they move forward. We see it in Iran, we see it with the Houthis, and we will also see it with Gaza. It's not an atmosphere of the crisis, it's just that time is more valuable to them than it is to us. Trump has a year in which he needs to show results. He doesn't have time. End quote. If this was not damaging enough, a headline by Times of Israel read, and I quote, "Report Trump disappointed with Netanyahu will continue Middle East policy objectives without Israel." End quote. According to the Times of Israel report, Trump said he was going to make progress on his objectives in the Middle East without waiting for Israel. Look, Trump takes his ego very seriously. It's not a secret. He doesn't like anyone outsmarting him. You can make out from his series of utterances during the recent press conferences or public speeches. He's also someone who spends a lot of time on social media and sees all the memes and posts about him. In fact, he launched his own social media platform called Truth Social. So, memes and social media posts suggesting that Netanyahu is treating him as his poodle will never go down well. Hence, his reported reaction to cut ties with Netanyahu. Nonetheless, these are quite fascinating developments. We shall see what happens when Trump finally arrives in Saudi Arabia for the much awaited Gulf Summit. I will keep you posted with my analysis. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you too think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. Details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.